Mic check.
Mic check.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, so what's your guys' biggest regret in your whole life? What's like one thing or one instance that you wish you could have changed or done differently?
That's a tough. It's tough because I feel like it takes a little while to discover that. I don't really. I mean, I have like certain regrets, but how do you determine if those are the big regrets that are holding you back from being something new and really improving yourself? Like at such a young age, like I think it's a lot easier when you've gone through life and you're kind of at the end of the road. I think it's easier to determine those. But yeah, like I have small regrets. Like maybe one of mine is, I decided not to pursue a longer career playing basketball. After high school, I was just burnt out, and I was probably living out of a lot of just like I was running rackets with people.
Explain like rackets for people who don't understand that language.
A racket is like, how would we best explain that? Like a beef?
Yeah, like a beef. It's more like a little more complicated, but I guess it's just you take something out of context or however your brain processes it, and then you are holding that against somebody else. Right,
instead of just being cause in the matter in your own life. But that one, I just decided not to pursue a further career playing basketball. I was done after high school. I look back on it now, and I was like, damn, I kind of wish I could go back to high school.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Just playing basketball. I still love basketball.
Yeah.
It was my first passion. It was my first passion.
Honestly, though, I feel like the majority of like our life is kind of filled with regrets. I think it's above 50% is like something I regret. I mean, if you think about just every single...
You think 50%?
I think I did read it, and I'm trying to find it again. It was like more than half your life is filled with regret. And if you think about that, just every instant in your life, you're probably wishing you did it like a little bit differently, when you look back at something. And I mean, that could possibly be just like a growth mindset. You're just trying to kind of change everything you're doing to tweak it and make it better the next time. But I mean, I feel like the majority of the time that's classified as like regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I guess I'm just a little confused.
I think it's about perspective as well. What do you say is like a loss or like you regret in your life? It doesn't have to be that, but you're making it that,
Yeah, true. I mean, because honestly, when I was like a kid, when I was growing up on a farm, like I definitely wish I did more. But now, since I'm out of farming, like I feel like I want so much more. Back then, like anything I did was amazing because like it was the only thing I could ever do. Now it's like I've experienced so much, only in my 20 years of living. That now I'm like, fuck, I wish I kind of did all this stuff and that stuff.
Another big regret, I guess you could say it's a regret that I have, and I feel like maybe you guys, I feel like a lot of people can connect to this one, but when you're a young kid, just not being a young kid, man, that's the best time of your life.
Yeah.
You're always telling adults, you're like, I can't wait to be an adult.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know how many times adults told me, no, stay young while you can. Like you don't want to be an adult. It's not all it's cut out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that like ties into so much. I don't know. Like, did you guys regret like your childhood? Like, but you couldn't really regret your childhood because that's just what you experienced.
A regret is also, I mean, you just don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Is it right to like make up a reality in your head about like what could have happened?
No, I don't think when you don't have a regret in the moment per se, unless it's something like really, out there.
Yeah.
But you don't when you start forming regrets, it's when you look back on it, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's
or
when you
lifetime.
really, exactly. It just depends on what it is. You look back on it, and that's when you start forming those those feelings and everything that comes with regret, right?
Yeah.
It's not really in the moment most times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the majority of your life is filled with regret. And the reason why I say that is because, like, if you're on your deathbed, the majority of the things you can look back and see is, like, you're not going to say, like, oh, I wish I worked more. Oh, I wish I watched more TV.
Yeah.
The average adult spends over 5 hours of TV a day.
A day?
Yeah, a day.
It's a lot.
Is that like screen time or is that like TV?
Screen time.
Oh, okay.
I think what I heard was TV, but I don't think they took the time to categorize exactly what it is. But they said television.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot of Netflix. I love Netflix. For
Yeah.
sure.
You're over there watching Stranger Things.
Oh,
that's me.
Season
That's me.
3, unreal.
That's
That is
me, dude. I
unreal.
fucking.
I got to get into it.
Yeah.
such a
Everybody
good
keeps
show.
telling me about it.
It's an
I mean,
amazing
knowing
show.
you're kind of a little scared boy. You probably, know.
Yeah. You're my son.
Demi Gordon's gonna get me.
I don't even know who Demi Gordon is, so
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not
You don't
a.
even know it's coming for you, bro.
whatever.
So, if you had to categorize just like a biggest regret, what is your biggest regret? I know mine off the top of my head.
Maybe I want to hear yours first because I really don't know mine.
Mine is that I wish I expressed my feelings more. That's definitely my biggest regret. Like, I could look back and see like all the times I just kind of shut down, and I should like express myself a little bit more, like tell people how I feel instead of being the yes man and just going along with everything.
Yeah.
To spare the possible, I don't know, span of like 10 minutes to like save face. Like, I definitely wish I expressed my feelings more often because I'm true to myself, and plus people like accept me for me.
And who knows what could have, come out of you expressing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think that's what, I don't think it's necessarily, it is like the fact that you didn't express yourself as much, but you regret more of like what could have been.
Yeah.
I think
That's
and
true.
I
Yeah.
connect with that one a lot
Yeah.
as well, because there's a lot of times where, like when you're sitting like in your room by yourself and you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like you have all these great feelings and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that's going to be amazing if I bring that up. But then it actually comes down to it and you don't do it because I think, it connects with fear as well. And I think
Definitely.
fear is a huge part of regret.
I think that's a really good point. Like, it's not the act of not expressing my feelings that makes me regret it. It's the possibilities of what happens afterwards, because the actual thought of expressing myself doesn't like excite me, but it's the thought of like people accepting me more after I express my feelings.
And does that
Right.
so? And that's different, right, from like what you're used to, because you're kind of comfortable in like not expressing yourself, being the yes man all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like that, there's comfort in that.
Yeah.
And like stepping outside of that, not only would it cause you to be a different person, but at the same time, that puts you out there, and it's scary out there.
Well, yeah, vulnerability
vulnerable.
is tough, but it's like one of the greatest things you could have, though.
Yeah. I think it's being vulnerable. It has a negative context in society.
It does.
It's really an extraordinary thing when you are vulnerable, because great things, organic, real, passionate things come from being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when you get the most out of life, is when you're just open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly because you just let others see like who you truly
are.
are,
Yeah.
and that opens up a whole different perspective for them and a whole different reality for them too about what you're living in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You could come across as a whole different person as soon as you start like living for other people and start living for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the statistics on it are, but it would be crazy to see, how many people just live a life that's not even theirs. They just put a fake face on for everybody else. And
I know I do it a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely
Like,
fall victim to it
I mean, we
myself.
talked about Instagram all the time, social media and stuff. I put on 8 different faces for that,
Yeah.
and like, I'll meet somebody out that I don't know, like talk myself up, I'll do all the stuff just to make myself look good. But, like in reality, it's just like, is that really
For what
is that-
reason?
Yeah, for them to like me,
Yeah.
like it's all for them to say, hey, like you're a cool guy.
Yeah.
That's what I do it for.
No, yeah. Too worried about what, Bob at fucking Chick-fil-A thinks.
Yeah.
Instead of just
or
being you,
online,
you know?
Stoner Boy 69,
Yeah.
out here in my comments just giving me shit,
Yeah.
like, fuck.
To answer your question, the as opposed to the statistics of how many people live with regret. So from the book, it's called Regrets of the Dying, and it was written by Bronnie Ware. She worked at like a
She was a nurse at a hospital in Australia. Yeah.
And she said every single patient lives with regret, but all of them end up dying in peace because they get complete with it.
Right.
Every single one.
I read that same article, and she said that she had been doing it. She had been working with the dying for, I think it was 12 years, and she started making statistics on it.
Yeah.
And their number one regret for most people was that they didn't live a life true to themselves.
Yeah.
They lived a life that others expected of them.
And the key word there is that she says people wish that they had the courage to live a life true to themselves.
Yep.
That's
the courage. Yeah.
That's kind of like a really big thought, like just a little bit amount of courage, like to be yourself, but it's so hard.
And the other thing that I find really interesting about that is that they wish that they had the courage.
Yeah.
We all have the courage in ourselves. Mm-hmm. You don't need to wish for it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to wish for.
Yeah, but like I'm a little confused there because I know from my point of view is like I struggle with that shit all the time. Like how can you not care what people think? And I think that's what we're pointing at here is how do you like actually just be authentic about who you are to people and not give a shit? Like it's so hard to do.
Oh, it's
like
super
I'm in
hard.
that trap all the time.
Me
like
too.
I walk in a store and I gotta put on my shoes a certain way, or I gotta cuff my pants a certain way, and sometimes I do that for me because I just like have a style and stuff, kind of like my jorts, you know what I'm saying? Oh god, I'm a big jort guy.
We're getting into jorts.
Yeah, we're getting into jorts.
That's these two. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna release some jorts online. You have to look out for those.
Roaring
Colton
20s
will not be
jorts.
rocking jorts.
Nope. No.
But no, it's just like how do you step outside of that? Like, and I'm open to it because I don't know the answer.
So you're open. You're saying you're just open to trying to discover.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have an answer, if you guys think that you have an idea, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer, and I don't know if I ever will, but I think that there's a start, and I think the start is saying that it's hard to be yourself is a story. I think that that's the first step. The first step is to get over whether it's hard or not, because in reality, there's no hardness to being yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, if you look out in space in our world, there's no hardness to being yourself. But I do think it is, like it's a tough thing. But the first step, I think, would be to get clear, like, there's no reality of it being tough. It's just I got to be true to myself. Yeah. Some people fucking do it, like, perfectly because they just don't give a shit.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm one of those people that I don't really give a shit, but like I'm still like it's still there, like I don't think you'll ever get rid of that.
Yeah, because you realize you are community as well. Like you are people, so you care what people think. And then there's like a juggling game. You don't know whether to like please other people because you're trying to be a part of the community, or do you be yourself because you're being true to yourself. And I think it's a mixture of both. You're just like, hey, I'm gonna do what's best for you, and I'm gonna speak my mind because I think me telling my truth is in the end going to help the community because they know who I am better.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think there is an answer or else we wouldn't have regret.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that's just something that everybody's going to live with forever?
Oh, yeah. Guaranteed, I think.
I mean, what about guys like Gary Vee, who's just like, he says he has regrets.
He has regrets.
But like.
Yeah. Does he still get regrets? Is that what you're asking?
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's got to be, like, a spectrum of that.
The way he puts it is, he just says, like, why would I judge somebody when I don't know the full story? Why would somebody judge me when they don't know the full story? It's about perspective. Like, something that we learned in Landmark is, like, people are gonna, like, people can't help but judge. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at somebody, instantly you're making thoughts. You're not purposely doing that. Your brain's just going.
We discovered that last episode.
Yeah, you can't stop that. It's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatic. So I'm coming to the realization of, like, people are going to judge no matter what I do. Mm-hmm. So fuck it. Like,
I judge you all the time.
Oh yeah, I judge you too.
I see your high socks. That
you
shit
are
looks terrible.
They're not high socks. They're calf socks.
No, this boy's rocking almost to his knees with socks. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I've ever seen him
around
to
in
his
the sun.
knees, but he's a calf socks boy.
They've never even been 3/4 up my calf, buddy.
Okay.
His calves are fucking bowling balls. They can't even get up there. What are you talking about? This guy's got the biggest calves I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Shout out mom and dad.
But thanks mom and pop. class.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
calf gang.
Yep.
No, but I think the point I'm getting at, is like whenever you guys walk into the room, though, I look at what you're wearing and I'm instantly judging you that
Instantly.
day.
Yeah.
Like,
You're just doing that subconsciously.
yeah, subconsciously. And sometimes consciously, I'm like, holy
Sometimes-
shit, that
if
shit
you're-
looks stupid, Like,
Sometimes, yeah.
like it's just one of those things.
It's from that one guy, the book, Michael A. Singer. He wrote The Untethered Soul, and I forget the other one, but he talks about that a lot. He constantly is saying, think of your voice as if it's like a roommate, that you're just like sitting next to all day. You're watching TV and the voice inside your head is just like, hey, we should get some food. Hey, I'm hungry. Hey, shut up. Like, hey, listen to the scene. Oh, you forgot. Rewind it. Fast forward it. Oh, go back. Imagine a roommate saying that to you constantly 24/7 and you're just not going to give it power. Like,
That'd be so.
literally think of all day, like you're the same thought telling you that you should act a certain way for other people is the same voice in your head that's saying like, I wonder if clouds are cotton candy. Like, you're not going to give that voice power. So why would you give it power about anything else? Like, thank it for what it's saying and move on. Like, it's just, that's the thing is like when people get so negative about themselves, the worst thing you can do is leave someone with their own thoughts, because constantly people are just
Your mind's a
destroying itself.
terrible place.
It is. It's always searching for the negative, and there is good at times, but, most of the time it's just fucking, negative stuff.
So I think, like, kind of what we're getting at is, first of all, people can just recognize that people are going to judge the shit out of you. Like,
No matter what you do.
whether you're walking outside and you're naked, or whether you're walking outside in Vans and, a button-up shirt.
Calf
No
size.
matter what it is, like, someone out there's going to be like, look at this prick.
It's never going to change. It's always going to
Oh.
be like that. So you just got to accept it.
Yeah, and accept that. And I think once you get comfortable with accepting that, like, hey, people are going to judge me, like, I can choose whether to give that power or not. And it's not always a bad thing if you give that power, if you're like, wow, like, maybe I shouldn't wear this shirt. A lot of people comment, and say something, certain thing. I don't think that's bad. If you really want to
But
wear
if
the
you
shirt,
wanna wear
though,
the shirt,
If you
wear the
want to wear the
shirt.
shirt, though.
I get that. But what I'm saying is like, okay, say I got a Donald Trump shirt, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm on a liberal campus. I'm out there getting fucking eggs thrown at me. It would be stupid for me to wear the shirt.
Why? That's your purpose.
Because
if that's
it's
your
a
purpose,
fucking-
stand for your purpose.
Yeah, but it's a fucking shirt, and like,
No.
it's a shirt.
But it doesn't just come
But
down to
does
the shirt.
does that kind of take away from your peace of mind that you're letting your community rob you of being able to wear a shirt?
It's
that
not
you
just
want?
I don't
about-
think so,
you're not just wearing
because
the
I
shirt
can walk
just
to
to-
class without getting eggs on me.
Yeah,
No, but
so-
you're wearing the shirt for a deeper reason, a
Yeah.
deeper purpose.
Yeah, in
You're-
your scenario,
It depends.
Who cares? Yeah, if you just
No, it
fucking
depends.
if you just threw the shirt on because you're like, I just
Yeah.
have this as a clean shirt,
Yeah.
That's what
and
I'm
it
saying.
doesn't affect you, then cool, yeah, no matter. But for the people that are out there trying to stand for like what Trump's doing, and they go on campus and get egged, like, sure, the next time you don't wear that shirt, you're not going to get egged, but you're also going to have some peace of mind taken because you're not able to stand for what you believe in.
Yeah.
I
And
got
that's
that, but what I'm saying is, if you don't make that distinction, if you don't have a why for what you're standing
no.
for,
And
Yeah.
that's I think that is and that's also kind of what I read in the article, but it makes perfect sense. That is like probably the biggest reason for regret is people don't truly know, they don't clearly know what their purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, they don't believe in themselves and they don't truly believe in their purpose. They don't want to stand for it because they're scared, and that comes back to fear.
yeah. But so, do you guys see my distinction? So it's like, if you're connected to your why, like you said, like on a bigger note, then yeah, you should wear that fucking shirt.
Yeah.
Wipe the eggs off and wear it again the same next day. I wouldn't even wash that shit. You're gonna get eggs on it again.
Yeah.
So why even wash it? And then, but if you're just doing it just because you don't really care, like, oh, I want to stir some people's emotions up today.
Well, then you take the shirt off and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
It
I
just
think
depends.
it all comes back to perspective,
Yeah.
and it all comes back to your why. And if you really, feel pulled to do something, you should fucking go do that. You shouldn't let other people. You're gonna get judged either way if you do it or you don't do it.
I mean, look at the greatest leaders in the history, of our country or in the world, like Martin Luther King. The guy went through hell and back,
yeah,
but he stood
died
for his
for it.
purpose. Yeah. But the other thing too is he wasn't standing for himself. He was standing for millions of other people. He was standing for them. And it was so worth it for him to do that he didn't care what he had to do.
And he got ridiculed. He got killed.
Yeah.
They took his life because he believed in something that bigger than himself.
Yeah, and he fucking changed the world.
Yeah.
So going back to my question then, what would you categorize your life as like your biggest regrets, if you could say?
For me, I would say I was on the opposite spectrum of you. I spoke my mind a little too much.
Okay.
So my biggest regret was probably like I was a very controlling and a dick of a person to a lot of people growing up because like I had my own issues to deal with and I never really faced those. So I would just, it was my way or the highway.
That's really good to see the other end because you're regretting probably the future that you could have had of like not severing those relationships or harming them in certain ways or, stuff like that.
It's more about the harming the other thing, Like I
Yeah.
didn't really let people be themselves around me because I was so fucking
No, that's
set in
how-
my own ways.
I was the exact same way. I was a fucking dick a lot of times when I was in middle school and sometimes in high school. And I think now I look back on that and know, like, wow, like I could be an ass. And I think that has turned into me not expressing myself as much now. And that's turned into a fear for me because I know what I had done in the past. And I just made up a story about it. And now I don't even a lot of times express myself for good reasons.
Yeah, and you're living in the past though because you're just trying to do the opposite of the past.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And, I mean, it's hard to escape the past with yourself and with other people. But I think like if you stand for your purpose and you're willing to do whatever it takes, it's going to happen and you're going to be able to, change the past, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to be able to recreate a new future for yourself.
Yeah. I feel like so many people spare their feelings with other people and end up just living like a mediocre life.
Yeah.
Because they're just spending all this time trying to like...
People try to please other people.
Yeah. And that's definitely my biggest regret. Like I'm trying to spend way too much time sparing my feelings and how I feel in order to get acceptance. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, no, don't like accept yourself, accept yourself first, then having other people like kind of accept. I just got chills from that. Like accept yourself first. Like I spend so much time trying to please other people and it's just not fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think,
people get stuck doing what's safe also with that.
Yeah.
They don't take any risks. They don't take any chances in life because they know that mom and dad want this from me, or, my friends want me to be this way, or I'm just supposed to be this way because this is how I grew up. Instead of taking a fucking chance on yourself, and then when you're 80 and you're dying, you have the regret that you didn't live a life true to yourself and you wish you had the courage to do so.
Well, shit, in my own life, like starting this fucking podcast, like I get backlash all the time sometimes, I'm like, oh shit, like, fucking what do people think? Oh, what do people think? I'm on camera, like what do people think? The thing is, like, my whole existence has been that, like without people, like, without people's input and stuff like that, like your world doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's noticing it and it's just accepting it like the way it is. And like you said, you pointed to a good thing in the past. It's just like your past doesn't have to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've reached out to a lot of the kids that I did, bully in a sense and like was a dick to. I reached out to a lot of them and I was like, hey, like, this is the way I was. Like, how did that make you feel? Really got their side of the story because if I didn't get their side of the story, I could never change and never could like create a new environment with them.
You don't get the actual impact of how that made them feel.
Yeah, you never get the actual impact. And so, when you step outside, when you finally are ready to make a change and stop, having those regrets, because sometimes the regrets are like, when you're in them, like when I was that way, I would look back and I'm like, shit, like I really regret that. Like, how can I make a difference there? You just look back and you say, okay, like these are people, like I hurt them, how can I step in their environment and like make things right so that maybe in the future like that never happens again.
Yeah.
And I think it's a scary place to stand for sure.
Yeah.
Because
when I
pick up the phone and call my ex-girlfriend up and say, hey, like, like I'm I was this way and this way and this way, and I made you wrong here, here, and here. And she's like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I can actually just have an authentic relationship with her and be friends with her now on, you know? Like, that's...
Yeah, it was incredible because I was there for that conversation, and he walked into it so nervous. He's like, dude, you got to make sure I do this. I have no idea what's going to go on. It's probably going to end badly. And at the end, she was like, dude, I miss you so much. Like, I'm glad you said this. Like, we can now have a relationship now. And that would have never happened. And you could have lived your whole life regretting what could have been if you didn't.
And I always did, you know, like, like I loved, you know, that person at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, and why was there hate there?
Yeah.
There was hate there because, like, either one, I was too scared to say the things I was going to say,
Mm-hmm.
or two, because, you know, like, I made her wrong for, like, what happened. But, like, out here in reality, like, you know, we had a relationship and we broke up. Like,
Yeah.
she's still a person, you know, like,
Isn't that
she's no
crazy?
different.
Isn't that crazy how, like, and I've had, like, similar situations, but how you can love somebody so much and then now we say that we hate their guts.
Yeah. I don't think it's right.
It's
just think about that. That's fucking...
Yeah. It's just something doesn't go to your liking.
Yeah.
And so you immediately, like, the next step to do is bash them to feel better for
like,
yourself.
how fucking selfish is that?
How fucked up is that?
Yeah. We're fucked as humans.
And
Yeah.
I've done that too.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I'm sure everybody has.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, and think about how much, like, fear was associated with that phone call to her.
Oh, yeah.
And how much like you had to be really vulnerable to do that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was almost crying. Like, you know, like...
But how good did it feel?
Oh, it felt amazing because I know now that if I die tomorrow, I will not have a regret with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I cleaned everything up. Like, we're like a brand new relationship because, you know, like I let her know everything that I had going on and resenting her for.
Yeah. Yeah. And like at Landmark with myself, my big thing, I think, was really clearing up stuff with my parents. And, you know, on Tuesday night, you bring back, you know, people that you want to enroll. And so I brought my two parents. They were really hesitant. Finally, they came. You know, I was happy that they did. And I was telling myself, like, the entire time leading up to that, like, on Monday, like, I want to share, but there's no way in hell I'm getting up in front of 250 people.
Yeah.
There's no way. And, like, there's no way I'm going to let my parents see that side of me. Like, the vulnerable side. Because I've for, like, so long of our relationship, I've had just a fence, a guard up with them. Because, I mean, there's been a lot of arguments, but then stories get made out of that, blah, 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 all that and that. But, and then, you know, like, we were talking about it, listening to the leader, and the leader asked, like, who wants to come up and share? And it was just like something, I was like, you know what? I just raised my hand, kind of half-assed. Like, like, don't call on me, but here's my hand.
Yeah.
She called on me, and I was like, oh, fuck. But I got out there, and I fucking shared with my parents, opened my heart up, was vulnerable. My mom started crying. My dad didn't smile, but I could see him smiling in his eyes. His eyes were free, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you could see, like, into his, like, soul almost.
Yeah.
And I knew that my parents got it.
Man, that's powerful.
And I would have regretted. I told myself going into that, if I don't share, I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. And now I don't have that regret.
And how was the relationship beforehand? You can just give us the gist. You don't have to go way into it. How was the relationship beforehand and then after?
Beforehand, fuck. It was, I mean, just a lot of, what's the word? Just
Butting heads.
But the
tension,
yeah. The even the Landmark leader, Angie, she walked up to me and my parents, and we're having a conversation because you have to share with the people that you brought. And she walked up, she's like, I can feel the tension here. She's like, there's something not like right here. And, like, I mean, yeah, stuff like a month before that went down with my parents, and it's been like our relationship's just been on like a steady decline.
Yeah.
For the past, 3 years or so. And I was able to clean that up, and also realize that I think a lot of the things that I think my parents are holding against me and still, like, beating me up for to this day was just a made up story that I'm doing to myself. So yeah, it just felt amazing because I got
Are
clear
you
with my
guys
parents.
closer now and
yeah,
like more
a lot
free
closer.
to do whatever?
Just a lot more free. I think there's just a mutual like understanding, there that there wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's not like you have to go through like this course to get
No,
it. It's
you
simply
don't.
just like just don't regret. Like just clean up the things you do regret, and you have so much open space now.
Just be authentic.
Yeah.
And like when I think that word, a lot of words get thrown around really loosely. But like when we say authentic, like I got a whole new like perspective on the word authentic by doing that course. But you don't have to do the course, like CJ said. Just like authentic means like the things that you're feeling straight in your heart, like the first things that pop into your head.
Yeah.
Those things are the things that need to be said.
Yeah. Instead of fear of what other people are gonna think.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna regret the things that you don't say. Someone does something that like hurt your trust or whatever it is. You're gonna regret so much more. Not just like speaking openly and being authentic about it. Like, hey, like you did that. Like that fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just authentic.
And
it's inauthentic to hold it in because you're just gonna regret that, and then you live in the world of regret.
Yeah. And you get power back by even saying those things that don't like, they're the hard things to say like that. Like, hey, like what you did, like that pissed me off. Like, but if you get it out there on the table,
Yeah.
then you both understand and you're being authentic, and there's a level of compassion from both of you, even though it has a what's the word, kind of a negative connotation around bringing up those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's still
But
good.
yeah, the more things you find, the more power you gain.
Yeah.
Honestly, the more things you get complete on, the more things you discover and work through, like the more power you have, because now you have less things going around in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's powerful. And I think, for the distinction of this podcast, I think it's just important, like it's okay to live a life full of regret, like you're not going to like die any sooner. Like, nothing's bad's going to happen to anything. The only thing is you're going to lay there on your deathbed and you're going to wish, instead of lay there and feel fulfilled, you're going to lay there and you're going to wish.
I also feel like regret, just in general, and the thought of living with no regret kind of places us in like double jeopardy, though. Because if you are thinking you're living in regret, you're going to spend your whole life trying to not live in it.
Yeah.
And you're going to try and make all these other decisions. And then if you ask the other party that says they believe they have lived their whole lives, then I feel like they're just denying it and not being true to themselves, or they're just like not really looking, you know? Because everyone has regrets, like whether it's finances, health, whoever your significant other is, like all that stuff. There's regrets bound to happen,
Yeah.
And denying it is just going to place you in like a world of like just corruption with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. And I think if you look at the word regret, like you're not living in the present if you're regretting something, because you have to go back to things in the past and put meaning on that.
Yeah.
You're not living present by even entertaining regret. Does that
That's
make
kind of a
sense?
slippery slope though, because like if I go cheat on my wife, I regret that instantly.
No,
Like
you're not. Are you living present by like cheating on your wife?
I mean, if it just happened, I mean, I have
don't know.
shit to clean up.
I think a huge challenge of being human is to have a regret and not let it debilitate you, because
That's powerful.
constantly you're gonna have regrets. The most powerful thing to do is to figure out how to not let it affect you, and that's the problem that most of us live into. Like if you have a regret, like what you just said, you're constantly living in the past.
Yeah.
You're regretting what has happened and what possibly could have been different.
Right.
But if you look at it just as, okay, like that's what happened, and this is what I'm going to do to either make sure it doesn't happen again or to fix it, then that's the most powerful thing you can do, other than just thinking on it and like, damn, I wish I did this differently, I wish I did that. Worrying about it and thinking about it just gets you deeper in the rabbit hole. It just fucks you more. Like, just stop thinking about it. Stop getting down on yourself and just fix it and do what needs to be done to get it right.
So you think it's just action?
I think it is just an action.
Just noticing it, accepting it and just being like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, and accept it as a reality. Don't accept it to put sorrow on yourself or to feel bad, because being mean or sad, like you get endorphins released when you do that.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to not do that. But if you just think about it as, I'm just looking at it from a powerful perspective to gain more knowledge on what to not do in the future, then it'll help you.
Yeah,
I think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to reflect on it for as minimal amount of time as possible to get what you need to get the information out of it, and then move on and do it and do it powerfully.
Just get that, get the information from it. Don't make it right, wrong, good, bad. And I know what your purpose is. Stand for your purpose, and the action that you take needs to be aimed at like your target. Like your target is your purpose, right? You wouldn't take a gun and just shoot it off in any random direction. Mm-hmm. You're taking a gun, aiming it down at your target. The bullet is going to go and hit the target, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be your life. Like, your purpose is the target. Your action is the bullet. Don't just throw action all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to us three. We showed them how to get a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all there for people to take on, and like, it's just a fear. It's a fear. And it's either going to be a life of regret. You're going to sit there in your bed while you're dying. You're going to either regret, or you're going to be like, holy fuck, I gave everything I had to it.
Yeah.
Like, and I said yes. I said yes more than I said no, you know?
And like doing that, what I just mentioned earlier, doesn't mean nothing's going to happen afterwards. Like, whether you do something good or bad, there are always consequences. Consequences has a negative connotation. I think of consequences just like every action has another action. So in your example of cheating on your wife, if that happens, the consequence may be that she leaves you, and that's a real possibility. Doing the right thing as to not regretting it doesn't necessarily mean nothing bad will happen afterward, or not even bad, just that something won't happen afterwards, because your wife may leave you in that circumstance. But the point is to look back and see, okay, well, I probably shouldn't do this again, because the consequences, I now am wifeless and possibly without a family, or, like, it's just you learn from it, because actions will always have a consequence.
Yeah. And, it's just what it is. Mm-hmm. And I think we're kind of even touching on the topic of integrity. Yeah. And, I mean, that's what I'm hearing anyways.
I think a lot of things play into it.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. And I think that, we'll bring that episode to people, because I think that's huge in terms of, just massive development and just understanding all this a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the biggest thing, biggest takeaway before we wrap up here is just, you have the choice. Like, you have the choice. You can either be in the deathbed, sitting there with regret, or you can just take life on, forgive yourself and just clean up the stuff that you fucked up on. You know, like I bullied kids sometimes, more times probably than I even am aware of. I've only heard like certain stories. And, I beat myself up for a long time, but it would never change anything, until I really stepped into the box of like what I was doing to people. Yeah. That's when I was able to change. And then, I had a lot of phone calls to make, a lot of awkward phone calls to make. Yeah. And, it's just, that's just what it is now. And now, like, there's freedom there.
I'd say one thing we should do is just list off the 5 biggest regrets that people have had in their life, so you can kind of start to like notice them out and possibly try to avoid them as much as possible.
Yeah, list them out.
So the 5 biggest regrets, this is the regrets of the dying. This is pulled out over like 12 years of research, basically. So one is that I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not life others expected of me. Second one is I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. The third one is I wish I hadn't worked so much. The fourth one is I wish I stayed in touch with friends. And the fifth one is I wish I had let myself be happier. And that fifth one really hits home.
Yeah.
Trying to live happier. Yeah, I feel like everyone has that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Colton, you got any last words?
I mean, it's easy to say, and it's something that I have to work on myself a lot, but just stop giving a fuck what people think. I mean, that's pretty like blunt, but like
yeah, I'd say so.
Like, are
just
you
a little
like,
bit.
just think about like the consequences of caring what people think about you. You're gonna be dying. You're gonna be days away from your death. You don't know what's gonna happen to you after death. Like, that's the biggest question in the world, I feel like. But
oh yeah,
you have no clue what's going to happen, and you're looking back on everything in your life and realizing everything that you missed out on just because you were so fucking worried about what people were going to say or think or do, whatever the fuck. You never took a chance on yourself. Believe in yourself. Take fucking chances. If you fall down and you fail, okay. So what? You get the fuck back up. You try again. And at least you know. If you don't even try, you don't even give yourself the chance to experience what happened with that situation. You just don't even know.
Yeah, you just never know.
What if you have this idea that's pondering in your head and it turns you into the wealthiest man on the face of the planet, but you never even gave it the chance? I mean, the percentages of that are slim, but
Yeah.
It's happened.
still a fucking percentage.
It's happened.
Yeah.
Amazon, it's happened.
What if that gives you the most fulfilled life that you could have ever dreamed of, but instead you worked at fucking Costco packing for fucking 40 years of your life?
Yeah,
and you were miserable doing that. Not to say that people that work there are fucking miserable, but I'm just saying, if you're living a miserable life and you don't even take a chance on yourself, you only have yourself to blame. No one else.
Yeah. And I think like that's it really ties into the compound effect. Think of every single person on the entire planet and how many regrets you have a single day. Imagine if you took all those on, and every single person, 7 billion people taking on every single thing that they wouldn't regret.
Yeah.
Bound to be some incredible things to happen to come out of that.
And a lot of just power in people, more power in people, you know, like people could just be themselves, not fucking worry about a thing, and just be, you know, just be whoever they want to be.
Yeah. Stop living scared.
Yeah. That's just it, you know, and you have the choice. It's no bad, right, or wrong either way, but you have the fucking choice. You know, you could either live with the what ifs, or you can take everything on, be a fucking force in the life and be a force in the world and just take shit on and just be a badass. And then, you know, at the end of the day, like, damn, I gave it a mile. Like,
and stop living in tomorrow.
Yeah. It's
and
today.
Someday.
It's today. Yeah. It's right now.
There's the pitcher for the Angels. He died at 27 in Texas. They were there playing the Rangers. He just died one night. Doesn't have a chance to wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just died.
And what are you going to do today to make sure that you know that you gave everything you had? You were who you wanted to be to the people around you, and that you're of service to. What are you going to do today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, or you can live with just the consequence of living on your deathbed with a heavy heart, not knowing anything that could have been different your entire life.
Or even after you die, you're lived with the people who, you know, are like, damn, he really could have been something.
Yeah. And it's got to be a hopeless and just a helpless just feeling.
Empty, too. Well, it got really real at the end. But we'll wrap it up here at Roaring 20s. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, later.
Later.